We're going to start the session. I'm going to pass over to Yossi Rotlevi to present. Thank you very much for joining. This is the second session out of three of a three-part training session on the new API that we released. Recently, and Yossi is a VP of Data Integration and co-founder of Pepperi, will be presenting the session. If you have questions, type them in and we'll answer them as throughout the session and at the end. And again, the session is being recorded, so you'll have access to the recordings of all the sessions.
Thank you, Marav. Good morning, everyone, or actually good evening if you're in Australia. We're gonna continue today with the Pepperi API overview, Developer Center. In the last session, we mainly explained how to get started with the Developer Center, working with the API, concepts of the API, authentication concepts, and retrieving data. This session we're going to concentrate on creating and updating data, on the concepts of that. I'm gonna drill down to the actual resources fields, at least the most important fields. Not every field, but the important ones. We're going to discuss the bulk upload API concept, a different kind of API that we're going to discuss. There is the customization API as well, and the public app. Next session is for .NET developers. So let's start with the creating and updating data. So just before we start, I wanted to show you, some people are asking me what's the big advantage of the API, how is it different from working with FTP. So I created an account from scratch, and I encourage you to do the same. If you go to pepperi.com and you start a free trial, you can start a free trial with a blank data, and you can use the API to upload your file. So just for you to get the feeling of working with the API, this is an account with 100,000 items and a lot more transactions.
How many items did you say? What was it? Sorry?
100,000 items.
100,000. Okay.
100,000 and 100,000 transaction lines. So I just wanted to show you how this works. I'm gonna run now our .NET application, just for you to understand how. I'm not going to concentrate now on the application itself, but it's just a demo application that uploads data. And let's see how fast it works. Okay, so uploading items now, and later it's going to upload. You see, I finished upload items, now uploading price list, uploading the prices themselves. You probably, if you remember how long this takes to upload the data on the FTP, you're going to understand the difference. If I go now here, you'll see the huge difference when you upload data with the API. You see it's already done, already uploaded. So, and this is less data. I uploaded now only 1,000 items, but you can see the difference. I'm already uploaded all those items and price lists and inventory and accounts and contacts and transactions and transaction lines, and now I'm uploading activities. It's really, really fast, and that's the whole idea of the API, and this is why we released the API. We did not stay only with the FTP. Okay, so just for you to get the taste, here, that's it. I already uploaded all the data, including images, 5 images. That's it. Okay, so this is just for you to get the taste of the API, and we next session if any of you are data developers, I'll explain how this application works. So it was just for you to get the taste of the API. It's not just a different technology; it's a different performance as well. Okay, so let's go to the API. Let's start with the item resources. We discussed all the get, all the retrieving. We're not talking about posting data. So each resources has a post, a regular post method, post resource that already has inside the schema of the data. See, without any data, so that you can change anything. If you have an item and you know its external ID, just take one of the items. For example, let's take one of the items here. Let's take the external ID. Okay, external ID, for example, 999. So this is just the external ID. It's not you don't need to write the word obviously external ID. It's just the data that we generated automatically gave that SKU to this external ID was generated with the word external ID. Just a sample, of course. So I'll take off the internal ID because I'm not using it to update. I can use either internal ID or external ID. And let's say I want to just change the name of the item. So I can take off everything else. Okay, that's the concept of the, sorry. That's the concept of REST. You don't need to send everything. You can send only whatever you want to change. Okay. And right now, the name is item name 999. Let's make it test item 999 and submit it. Remember well, I have to first enter my API key and enter my OAuth. Let's make sure that it's the same OAuth. This is the token. So I use it as a password, save it, and send it to request. Okay, when you send a request, you get back the item and the updated data. So I got back an OK response and the entire item with updated data. If I go now to Pepperi, you'll see it immediately. There's no, it happens. It updates immediately. Again, unlike the FTP, you see it here. So that's the concept of updating data, creating and updating data. Now, the post in some systems, in REST API, there is a post and put. Posting for creating data and putting as for updating data. We use the post because we wanted to make it more convenient for the developers in order for them not to be, it would be completely transparent for them if it's a update or a create. They just post an item, and we do behind the scene. We do creating and updating. The way for you to know if it was created or updated is using the response the status code, response HTTP code. When you update it, it's 200 okay. When you create it, it's 201 created. So this is how you can differentiate it and understand if it was created or updated. Other than that, as you saw, I need to use the internal ID or external ID. I can do the same exact thing. See, I just get an item. I have the internal ID, so I can do the same thing. I can update. I can use the internal ID, which is a number, okay, and update the same way that I did with external ID. Okay, now let's give it a different name. Give it another 9. Okay, and here we go. We got a different name. So that's the idea. Another thing is the only parameter you need to be aware of is include nested, which item is not a good sample. So I'm gonna move to a different resource to explain about the include nested. Let's go to the transactions. Let's get a transaction and update it. So let's get a transaction and then work on it. This is the most this is the best practice. Always first get the data and then update the data. So let's take a single transaction. Let's go back to get transaction by ID. Just going to paste it here to get the number. Okay, and okay, so we got the transaction. We have the transaction now. I can copy the transaction and now take it to the post and update it. Okay, so if you're using some kind of your own UI, and this is the best practice. Normally, you would, for example, if you present a list of transactions, so you got all the transactions, so you have all the data, but you need to change and post whatever you get, you post. It's the easiest way to work. Okay, so we have the transaction. We have the transaction here with all the lines. So this is actually the nested object, because transaction lines have its own resource. If I go down here below, I will see the URI. This is the URI. This is how I get the same lines using the transaction lines resource. So now I am in the transaction and I can see the nested object, the transaction lines. This is for transactions. For example, for accounts, you will see the users assigned to that account, nested object of the account. So by default, remember, by default, the value is true. If I go now and I will take off a line here, I'll post it. Let's say I want to delete a line. So you remember there's 360. I will take it off. I want to delete one line in my transaction. And I will send this transaction, I'll submit it. I got back the transaction. See, I don't have the 360 anymore. This is because by default, the value here is true. By default, I'm updating the nested object as well. It's important to be aware of it, because if you only want, for example, if you just want to change a remark to add a remark, and you did not send the transaction line, all your transaction lines will be deleted. So if you only want to change the header, and you don't have the lines, if you have the lines, it's not a problem, because you post them and all the lines get updated as well. But if you don't have the lines, you'll write here false. When I'm writing here false, and I'm taking off now the 870, and I'm posting it, Okay, now you will see that nothing happened because it's false. Okay, so everything that gets updated is only the object itself, actually what we call the header, the transaction object, not the transaction line. Okay, so this is it. Again, you can update by internal ID or external ID, create or update. Obviously, the minimum fields are the internal ID or external ID of the transaction. I can add a transaction with almost no data, just with external ID and that's it basically, without lines at all. An important field here is the status. Now that the transaction is in creation, if I want to update it to submitted, I will change it to 2, and you will see the transaction change to submitted. Okay, let's talk about now about updating not nested objects, updating one. Meaning each transaction is assigned to account, okay, and to catalog and to user agent. In this case, there's no agent because it was uploaded through the API. How do I? First of all, I can't. It's important to understand that you're not updating account name. If I write here name and change the name, it will not change the name of the account. The existence of these objects here are only for getting for you to be able to change, to assign a different account. I can assign a different account from here to the transaction. I can assign a different agent. I can assign a different catalog. So that if I want to assign an agent to the transaction, I would go to the users. Let's go to the users, company resources. Let's get the users of this company. See, every time I move to a different resource, I need to save it again. On the same resource, it saves it. You don't need to enter it again. Okay, so there are 2 users here. One is the support users, an internal user of Pepperi, and the other one is the one who's the admin of this account. Now, here is the internal ID of the user. I want to assign that transaction to that user. So let's go. Where is my transaction? I lost my transaction. Let's take the transaction again. This is the user. Okay. I'm going to take one of the transactions. All the transactions don't have any user. Now let's copy it from here already. Copy it from here as well. Now here is a good example to the include nested. You see that when I selected many transactions, I got them without lines. Because by default, include nested here equals false. I don't get many. When I get many transactions, I don't want to get all the lines with them. I want to get the lines, I need to write here true. So now I did not get the lines, and it's a good example to what I explained before. Now that I will try to post it, I don't have a line. Okay, there are no lines, and by default, this one is true now. Okay, don't get confused. Try to remember it when you retrieve data. You retrieve many records by default include nested equals false. You don't want to get a lot of data. You retrieve a single record by default include nested is true. Obviously, when you want to get one transaction, it's not there's no problem to give you all the lines of the transaction. And the same way when you post a single transaction, you would want to be able by default to change the transaction line. So in this case, since I got many transactions and then I took one of them, now I don't have the line. If I'll keep it like this and I'll just submit it, I will lose all the lines. Okay, so in order for me not to lose the line, I will type here false, and I will just change by the transaction ID. Now I can change. Now I want to change the user. I want to assign a user. So right now I don't have a user. There's account. So let's copy the structure. It's always the same structure. The URI is not needed. It's just for for viewing only, read only. So I can just take these data and move it here to the account. Let's do it carefully. Let's take everything. Okay. And so it always looks the same. This is not needed. Okay, so basically I just want to give it internal ID. I can do it either by internal ID, or if this is important, if you want to change assignment, if you want to assign a different rep to this transaction, you can use the internal ID or external ID. I'll change it to the external ID. Actually, this user doesn't have external ID, so I can assign external ID and then use the external ID assignment. But you can, you know what? I'll show you soon how you do it with account. So let's assign this transaction to this user. Okay. Now I got back the transaction, the updated transaction, and I can see that this transaction is now assigned to this user. Okay, so this is why you have those one-to-one related objects. You don't use all the data. You don't change the names from here. Again, you just change assignment, either by internal ID or external ID. This is an important concept. So if there are any questions now about it, I would be happy to know. Let's see, where are okay, no questions so far. So let's move forward. Okay. Let's see how we update using the external ID. So for this, I need to go to the account resource and get account external ID. Let's get all the accounts and actually I can use the same. I can use the user external ID also for the account. Okay, so this is our external ID. Take it, go back here. Again, get the transaction. Okay, I have the ID. I'm copying the entire transaction, but I don't really need the entire transaction. It's just for the convenience, but I'll show you soon how you actually don't need to copy the entire transaction. If I paste it here, let's say right here, false. I can, first of all, let's change the assignment by external ID. So it was assigned to this account. I can, all right, just change it to 1. It was assigned to the first one. So let's change it to 1. Can keep it or leave it, just matter. Okay. It was changed now, and it's a different internal ID. Obviously, I don't need everything here. First of all, as you can see, the line's still here because I did the false, include nested false. I can remove everything and stay only with what I need. I can remove everything. Okay, and stay only with what I want to update. Some of the fields are read-only. I'm going to say some words about the fields soon. So actually, I can stay only with this. I can stay with the internal ID. If I just want to change the account, I can stay with the internal ID or external ID. And here, external ID or internal ID. And just let's change it to 2. Okay. Again, it was updated. I got all the data, and that's it. File. I can do the same thing. And create a transaction. Let's call it test 1. And you will see the response. Okay. You see now that the response you got is 201 created. Okay. This is a new transaction. As I told you, the only thing I need is the external ID. Everything else is not needed, and it was created with default values without lines. If I want to add the lines, I can add the lines. I can add the one by one from here. Okay. Actually, it's an important note in transactions. Unlike all the other resources, I can add lines with extra data. This is because transaction is a little bit different. You know, when you create a transaction, obviously normally the transaction is created with the line, so you can add lines straight from here. You don't need to. It's more than just a reference. You can assign the item, the quantity, and everything from the transaction itself. Let me show you an example of it. I'll go to the transactions, get a transaction, and create a transaction. You already saw that I can update the lines, but I want to show you now how you can not only update lines, but also create lines. Okay, so let's take this one and change it. Again, the easiest way to go. Sorry, I need the line. Next to true. I'm getting the line now. Takes a little longer, again, because we're dealing with 100 records, and each record has its line, so it takes a little longer. Wait. As I mentioned in the last session, it's recommended when you fetch many records not to fetch the lines with them. By default, when you fetch a single line, you're getting okay, so the time that it takes is not only the time that you show, it's not mainly not the the time that it takes for the API to run, but more for the browser to download. It's a lot of data, so there's the time that it takes for the browser to download and to present it this way. So it's a little heavy for the browser as well. Okay, so let's take this transaction. With all its lines. I hope I can make it easy. Let's just take lines. Okay. And let's post the transaction. Let's create a new one. Let's give it an ID. Test. Okay. Let's get it in creation. I don't need, actually, I don't need to write the status. Just put the lines, and that's it. Okay. All right. Okay, so I have some, I hope I don't have any mistake here. Okay, yeah, I do have. Let's take off the transactions, the transaction lines. Okay, so I have the data, I have two lines. Just need to delete this one. I have two lines here. So unlike other related, other one-to-many other nested objects that you can update only the internal ID and external ID, in the transaction case, you can actually updating details of the line, updating the item name. Actually, not the name. The name is not important, but the external ID or the internal ID, the totals and everything. It's data that related to the line itself. And even though, unlike other resources here, you can update it straight from the transaction. So it's very similar to the transaction resource is very similar to other very similar to what you do in the UI. You update the header and the lines in one place, and you post it, and everything gets updated. So let's create this transaction. Sorry, I must have an account. Let's have an account. Which is something we had before. Okay, so I'm adding an account. And let's give it one of the external IDs. Give it a 0 external ID. Sorry. Okay. So I have everything now. I have account. I have the external here. Submit again. Okay. Created. Okay. Now the transaction was created and the lines as well. Okay. So this is important. Again, very important example because it's the only resource that you can upload the transactions, the transaction lines. You can upload a sub resource, a nested resource from the resource itself. This this is a transaction. Okay. All right. We're running out of time, so let's move. Let's talk a little bit about. Let's see what we have. Okay, a little bit about the fields and the bulk upload concepts. Okay, so a little bit about the fields, important fields. I'll try to make it fast. We started a little late, so we might later also with finishing. Important fields are when you post, always make sure you have in the items. You must have a main category ID. This is a must. And when you create the main category, you see here. The main categories are created just with ID and the name, without the image, so that if you go here, you see there's no, this is what you'll see on the iPad. You must, after you upload your data, you must go to the manage items and change the name or add image to the main categories created. You go here, the API is not handling, it's not handling all the UI aspects. UI aspects, you still need to do it manually. Here, see now that I press save, it's automatically created an image. But obviously, you would want, many times you would want to add your own image. So this is one it's a practical approach that you can just get inside and just change and just save it again, and you'll get the name like here. Okay, so this is an important field. A parent is an important object. It's for the matrix items. You know that already. Hidden we already discussed last time. Images. Okay, let's say a few words about images. If I want to update an image, I need to provide either URL or content. Let's do it with the URL. I'm going to take, let's take off all the images, say only with one image. If I want to use the URL, I don't need the content and the file name, anything. The content is for base 64 images that you upload, for example, from a desktop computer. So since my data is very simple, I can just write here external ID. I know that I have this external ID. Okay, so I want to give, let's take a URL, sample GPG. Okay, I'm just usually using this sample. It's a nice sample. Okay, so I'm going to put it here. And if you have your own website, for example, and you have all your images on your website, it's the easiest way to work. You provide the external ID, the image, and you just submit it. So let's put in the API key and our credentials and send this request. Now, what you're going to get back is you're going to get back the updated item and the image as it was created in Pepperi. Okay? So that if I go here, this is where we save the image. The image is saved in Pepperi. It's not a link to an existing image. It's not a link to this image. The image is downloaded to Pepperi and saved in Pepperi. Okay, so that's the way to go. And it's all happening immediately. If I go now to that item, I'll see it immediately in Pepperi. Okay. So I think this image is already uploaded to this item. If I'll change it now to a different item, you'll see it change it to item 5. And you can upload all the images in the same way. See, now you see them. Okay, I'll go here. Let's see it in Pepperi. All right, so let's move now to other fields.
Yossi, can you upload the category image, or it's just the item, the multiple images?
As I explained before, it's only I can't. The API is not meant to deal with the UI aspects of Pepperi. We might have in the future API for that. We might not, because it's something that usually you need to do manually. You need to, prepare your catalog, drag and drop. So we're not dealing with the API. Is only meant, for the data. So I'm just updating the data through the item. I don't have a special resource for the main category as well. It's on the same resource of the item.
Okay.
I just update the data, and then as I showed before, you go manually and change it. You can just go and save the category, main category, and get updated automatically when you save it. It generates an image.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
There's a question. There's a question here from someone. How about if the image is saved on my computer?
Yeah. Okay. So about the images saved on your computer. Exactly why we created the content. The content you need to put in base64 content, which is a binary. You read binary. You read the file and you translate it to base64, and it's a whole huge string here. Okay, and which is the binary content of the image. In this case, you don't use the URL. And there is the MIME type, which is, for example, image JPEG, and the file name, something like this. And then you would submit it, and you get back, and it does the same job. So when you retrieve the data, you never see it because it's huge data. It could be a very huge data. It's only the content, and those three fields are only meant for the uploading data, exactly for this usage to upload image from your desktop. Okay, if you're a .NET developer, we have already SDK for that. It's very easy to upload images. You just give us the file and we upload the file. We do it behind the scenes. I'm going to present this next session on the SDK session. Okay. More fields. Account field, anything special on the account? I think that you're familiar with everything. I don't think there's anything that's special to say about the account. Assigning price levels. Any of you that is familiar with the system, there's nothing special here. You see, everything is assignment. Although when you retrieve account, you can get all the data of the price level. Not only internally or externally, but keep in mind that when you post, you only change this data except of the transactions. Okay, transaction line is the only exception. So there's nothing special here to say about transactions. We already discussed. Activity is the last one. Okay. No, I don't think there's anything special to say here. Again, it's the same known fields that you're already familiar with. The only thing that I want to emphasize is regarding the company resource, the users. Okay, you can only get users. There's no way for you, and it's in the beta as well. You see some of the APIs in beta. You cannot post a new user. This is because license issues, and everything. You need to create a user with the email and get the emails and everything. You can't do it automatically. You can upload users. You need to You can get the users here, but not to upload the users. Okay, now let's go to the, unless there are further questions about this, let's go to the bulk upload, which is not going to take long. Just going to explain the concept. Mirav, are there any questions about creating and updating data? I don't think so, right?
No, there's no more questions that came.
Okay.
Okay,
so let's go to the bulk upload. Each resource has its own bulk upload. Each resource has post and post bulk JSON for bulk CSV zip. Why? Why do we have it? Everything that you saw before is uploaded via bulk upload. This is because when you upload a large amount of data, you don't want to update one by one, and it takes also takes space to write the name of the field. It takes space, so the structure is different. When you upload, this is actually the bulk upload is different in two ways. First of all, the structure. Let's see the structure. For example, let's take the JSON. So the structure is always headers. So only one time you write the headers. For example, I write here external ID. Okay. And price. And the lines, I have an array of arrays. It arrays many lines, and each line has its own array. So I would write here the X1, one external ID, and the price is 9. Okay, I would have another line which is the X2, and the price is 3. Okay, so I'm uploading 2 items with only external ID and price, and this enables me upload a lot of data without specifying again the names of the headers. Okay, and so it makes it a lot easier to upload data and faster. Now, what you get back from such an upload, okay, you're getting a job. Why? And this is the second way that it's different from the other resources. It's an asynchronous API, meaning that sometimes you upload for 3 lines, it doesn't matter, but when you want to upload 100,000 lines or 1,000 lines or 100 lines, it doesn't matter. It could take time. As you saw before, it's very fast. Even though you don't want to wait for the response, you want to keep pulling the response for us. So the way it works is you get a job, and you get an URI. Now use this URI to query the job. Let's take the ID, and you can go here to the bulk upload resource and get a job info. Okay, so you put in the ID, and sorry, I need a key. Okay, I got the ID. Now I can see what happens with this upload. Okay. I'm missing here. 1 second. Let's do it here. You see that I'm missing a dash here. Okay, let's take it from here. Okay, I'm missing a slash here. Organization. Okay, let's see what happened to this job. Post get. Okay, so I can see that it failed because I did not have main category. Okay, so I need to add the main category, and it's going to work. Okay, so this is something you could not see before. You did not have the ability. You would just upload FTP and hope that it was there. Now you're able to, first of all, you're able to get a response, and besides that, you still have the flexibility that you can go to the log. Unlike the regular post of the API, when you upload the bulk, it's getting into the log here. So if you're uploading one, remember that you can only update when you use a regular API, not the bulk one. You can only upload one by one. If you want to upload many, you upload through the bulk, and when you upload through the bulk, you see it as lines here, and you can download the CSV and see what was wrong. Here, because I did not provide the mandatory, I don't see it at all. Okay, so this is the concept of the bulk. It's the same all over the system. If there are any questions about it, welcome to ask. It's the same idea. There's no difference. All the resources have the same exact bulk. One more thing is the two different bulk JSON and bulk CSV zip. Bulk CSV zip enables you to upload a specific a file, a CSV file that you already zipped into. It's a single CSV file in a CSV in a single CSV in a zip folder. So if you have 100,000 items, it turns into 1,000 items actually. Usually it's 10 times smaller, the size of the file. So this is very useful. One more thing is regarding transaction. So all the other resources are the same. You can upload a zip or a JSON. It's always the same. You just need to write the data, type the data, or upload the file. Transactions and activities are different. They're different because when you upload a flat transaction or a flat activity, you need to specify the subtype. You see here that there is a subtype ID, and it's taken from the metadata. If you want to know what sub ID, you have, let's say you have 3 different transactions. One is sales order and invoice and transfer or something like this. You must know the ID, the number of the transaction before you upload the file. You can't just upload many lines because sometimes a different sub ID invoice has different user-defined fields than sales order. So how you do that? You go to the API reference, you go to the customization. So we have the chance now to say a few words about the customization. But just in order for you to get the types, you just go here and you get all the types. So now I get the type. I know that my subtype ID for sales order is 140651. If I would have more, I would have invoice with a different number. So I need to use this number in order to upload the bulk. So remember, it's only for the bulk. When you upload with the regular upload, regular post, there is a field for that. There is a field for the type. It's inside the JSON itself. But here, because there's no JSON, it's flat. You need to specify it on the URL itself. Okay. So we actually finished with the bulk. I go to the customizations, and we're done. So I explained about now. I just now explained about getting all the types, all the subtypes, metadata. If you want to get if if you want to know your different for each resource, you want to know what are the user-defined fields for items, or what are the fields for items. In each item, in each resource, you have the get metadata. So if I go here now, I can get the list of the fields. It's very useful. Sometimes you don't know if you have a field, if you created a field or not. So here you have a list of just all the fields of items, including the type safe attributes, actually the user-defined fields. Okay, I don't have any. I get all the properties here. I don't have any user-defined fields, I think. If I create one, I'll see it here. Okay, this is for getting the different fields for each resource. If you want to create your own user-defined field, so you can do it through here. Post user-defined. Sorry. This is done through each resource. If you want to add a new user-defined field to item, you have post items metadata UDF, adds a new user-defined field to the item schema. Okay, so I'll go here. I need to put in the type, the name, multiple values. If it's a selection box, so I can add all the available options here. Okay, I need to give it a name and the type, and here you go. Okay, so one more last thing about customizations. These are user-defined tables. User-defined tables, you can get all the user-defined tables, and you can create your own user-defined table. Okay, so user-defined table, you give it a name. You give it a name. The name is the map data external ID is the name of the user-defined table. For example, my table 1. Okay, and main key is my it's called primary key. Okay, the primary key of the table. For example, it could be external. Usually, it's external ID. It's external ID 1. Okay. And the values are arrays of values. I can write here different values, and each value here is actually each value. This is actually, you can think of it why we call it a table. This is actually the columns. Okay, so if I want to post, if I'm posting this, I'm getting one line with all these columns. Okay, I'm getting a line with a column. If I want to post another line, I need to post another line here. So it's the same concept. You're posting one by one. If you want to post many, so again, like the other resources, you can post JSON, exactly the same idea, or you can post CSV. Okay, so we're almost done. The last thing is the public apps. If you want to get listed, and we have already few people that are a few partners that are requesting and show interest in that. It's a very efficient way to market your app. If you're working with some kind of an ERP system, and you have your own expertise in this system, you can create using the API. You can create your app, and we will publish it. There are two ways to publish, on our integration directory. One way is just to publish, to market it, and to just say contact this company, and this is okay. If you want to make a, if you want to be able to create trials from our website and connect many and do something with a web interface that's cloud-based, you're going to need to use our OAuth 2 authentication. I already discussed this authentication on the first session. So any of you working on something, I know that some people are working on BI system, business analysis systems. It's I must say that our users in the community are really excited about such applications. People are looking for application for BI, reporting applications, to extend the Pepperi functionality. So I'll be happy. You can contact me directly, and I'll be happy to help you with the process of certifying your application. Questions? We're at the end. Any questions? Okay, I asked you how about if the image is saved on my computer. I already answered this question. Merav, any more questions? I don't think so, right?
No. If you have a question, you can contact support. You can contact your project manager, and they will assist you.
Okay. So we're done for today. The next session will be about the .NET SDK. It's meant for .NET developers.
Thank you very much, Yossi.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.